Yeah. So in terms of, it's a silly question for you, but in terms of intuition, like how often do you find you use it in your decision making?
Well, that's an interesting question because I I live in my gut, but for decision making, it's harder. I use it for a lot of other things, but decision making, then I tend to get a little logical,
Uh-huh.
but I use it for everything else.
Yeah, I get super logical with my decision making. Lately, though, I've been kind of going, okay, like let me see if anything else occurs to me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so I've been going slower with the decision making. So we've got
That's
some more
good.
people joining us. This is Doodle with me. Just to let you, the new people who are coming in, just to let you know, this is Doodle with me. 30 minutes of idle chat and drawing. We do doodles here, and what doodles are is really whatever comes out of you. It doesn't have to look like anything. You don't have to put it in a museum. Doesn't need a frame. We just want to be making marks and kind of letting our mind go. So. Great. So I was curious. So in terms of doodling, how much doodling do you do, Michelle?
Me, well, I used to doodle a lot when I was younger. I don't really doodle anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
from
so
time to time, from time to time.
so so in terms of like, so I tend to doodle like all the time, like on
Mm,
everything around me, um, because I think it must relax me.
mm,
So what are you using for relaxation to kind of
mm.
release that energy?
Floating in a pool.
Oh yeah, that's right. You've got that great pool.
It really is. It really just washes it all away.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
I remember that I would have that feeling sometimes when I was hiking. I'd have that sense of like, almost like not just like my troubles lifting, but also kind of my sense of self kind of lifting a little
Oh,
bit,
yeah.
and you get more and more kind of immersed in just the experience. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel
Yeah,
kind of like,
the elements will do that, and water really does that for me.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
can easily feel at one with, whatever, that
right,
element. Yeah.
cool. So,
Yeah.
like I was saying, let's see if I can hear you without my, can you hear it?
Oh,
Okay.
I can hear you. Is it affecting it that I'm wearing headphones?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'm in a room with other people. I want to make sure that they can hear you too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Okay. All the technology aside, you want to doodle? You want to do some
Sure,
doodling?
let's doodle. I gotta
Okay,
set up
let's
my
do it.
little thing here.
Okay, great. And I gotta twist mine around here. This is where everyone gets to see right up my nose. It's great.
Yeah, this is hard to set up here. But once it's there, it'll look great.
Okay. Let's see here.
Oh my God. I worked
All
all
right.
ear. Hold
Would
on
you end it?
here.
Okay.
I'm almost with you.
Yeah, yeah, no hurry. Those of you, hi Vashti, great to see you. Those of you who are joining us, just to let you know that Doodle with Me is interactive, which means you can also be drawing with us as you listen to us chat. And like I said, no pressure to produce anything. It's just kind of for 30 minutes going with the flow. So, all right.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
can see me?
Well, I can see your paper. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And I see, oh, nice nail polish. I like that.
Thanks.
So, so in terms of like, because you read the tarot cards, the reason
Yeah.
why I kind of came up with that intuition question was because I imagine that that's how it works is you have to kind of be open to whatever comes to you in terms of, I don't know, what is that, a premonition? How does it work? I don't know much
Well,
about tarot.
well, I think it works differently for everyone, but for me, it comes when it wants to. So I can't control it, but I really try to kind of exit my ego and
Uh-huh.
my personal life and opinion and not my experiences, but my opinion. And I try to be, I really connect with the person. Try to connect with the person in a non-linear way.
Uh-huh. Huh.
And then just kind of do some weird things like open the top of my head and imagine that it's a funnel for universal wisdom. And sometimes it works, other times it's a little cloudy. It really depends on like what I ate and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, uh and then it comes and goes, I
Right.
guess.
Right. That's interesting. Have you always been aware that you were able to, well, part of that sounds like a visualization, right? Like you kind of visualize your body in a way that's more receptive, I guess, because the head is, you're opening up that I,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I kind of do there are some visual. I'm a visual person, so there is some visualization. I kind of do this thing where I visualize myself unzipping my Michelle suit,
Uh-huh.
like taking it off.
Uh-huh.
And then yeah, I visualize and I feel the person and I extend my consciousness to them. And, you
Uh-huh.
know, years of meditation practice has prepared me for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it can get really weird, but I think that we all have this ability. I mean, we do have this, I'll say it that way. We
Yeah.
do all have this ability. And I think it gets shut down when we're really young due to, upbringing, conditioning, and all
Yeah.
the different religion and all the different kinds of things that form us
Right.
also like close us down from the natural functions of human uh, ability.
Right. Right. Yeah,
So,
it's made me think about it because in my family, people were pretty open to like psychic ability and psychic phenomenon. And I was always, especially in the 70s, it was very celebrated, you know.
yeah, yeah,
A lot of TV shows about paranormal kinds of activities, a lot of interest in the occult and a combination of the occult with feminist practices, I think was something I noticed a lot in the 70s. And uh, I and my father worked with I forget her first name, but it was Curlian photography at UCLA. So
oh really cool.
yeah, so I guess I'm not sure exactly in what he's on there. He's online now. So Dad, if you want to say in what ways you worked with Curlian photography at UCLA, please do so in the comments. But no pressure. Also, folks, people talk back and forth in the comments. It's fine to do that. You don't have to be quiet. That said, yeah. Those things are happening, and my sister, and my mom would talk about it. I think I was a little scared of it, to be honest, and so I didn't. I was just trying to try to be. I was trying to fit in a lot of times, so
Hmm.
it wasn't something that was going to help me fit in.
Right,
To embrace,
I
you
know
know.
that well. I mean, when I first learned about tarot when I was really young, like I was 10 or 11, I was like, oh my God, this exists. And I got really into finding out all about it. And that led me to witchcraft and all the other occult things that were around in the 70s, early 80s.
Right.
And I was like, this is who I am. I finally discovered it. Wow. And of course, then I was then I was a teenager. And of course, then it gets all
Yeah.
kind of closed down. And then I became a punk rocker. And then that was really not cool. And um, even though it was always like a little secret love, but then I finally embraced it.
I mean, there were goths in my high school. I remember that. They were kind of goths. I don't know exactly what they were. It was kind of a crossover from like stoners and goths that were
Yeah,
kind of
right.
more into that stuff.
It's
Um,
true. Yeah.
and yeah, but I was just thinking I was probably much more attuned to that kind of stuff, or being more attuned in general when I was younger, especially in my 20s and younger. And I think now, I just say, I mean, I'm not going to get into it too much, but sometimes I do, not in a like psychotic or a schizophrenic way, but I do sometimes have little voices. I know that in the drawing process, when you're really kind of in a zone drawing, and I don't know, this might happen with you in music, sometimes there'll be other things that kind of come forward, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just like a little personality that pops up, or especially if you're up late at night, a little bit of that hypnagogia where it's like your brain is kind of winding down.
Yeah, and the doors of perception open.
Right. And I do think that happens with doodling as well, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There are, you know, people who are more like, I'm an impatient doodler, which is I tend to work fast and kind of I don't go into really a lot of detail. There's some people who I think can trance out more than I can, but I do, well, also probably because we're on the phone now trying to have a conversation at the same time as drawing.
Mm-hmm.
not the
Right.
not the easiest thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. Very
But
different.
yeah, but at the same time, yeah, so I do have, and I've been trying to pay attention to it more, but I do have kind of inklings sometimes, never like images, usually just like words, voices, usually, you know, like a personality. And it does seem to have a connection to a space I'm in. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, it was the end of teaching yesterday and I was packing stuff up. And then some, you know, some guy with some kind of New York accent was like talking. I didn't realize that he was talking. And then I was like, what is that? You know? And it's like, you know, oh, I must be tired, that kind of thing. But then I was like, well, first of all, if this were a spirit or something trying to communicate to me, uh, who, what New Yorker is living on Pima College's downtown campus, their art studio, and why is he? What is he there for? Why is he there? You know, it was like a taxi driver
Yeah.
in the middle of Tucson. Didn't make sense to me. You know what I mean?
Huh.
So, yeah. So it's like those kinds of things. So a lot of times I'll hear it and I'll just kind of put it out of my head. You know?
Right. Well, that's what we do.
Yeah.
When we get those voices and we get those inklings, we don't trust them. We've
Right.
been trained not to trust them, and it's very unfortunate that this really amazing ability has been conditioned out of our, not nurtured from when we were
Right.
kids.
So you discovered tarot cards when you were a teenager or younger.
Young kid, yeah.
How did you kind of, how did that pop up? I mean, were you at a library or did someone tell
I
you
was at
about
the
that?
I spent a lot of time in the library as a kid and was just reading always reading the books in the weirdo section, and
Yeah, yeah.
um and read about them and read what they were kind of about and was intrigued and did as much research as I could, but never thought that I would come across a deck, until because I lived in a small town, and
Right.
they definitely weren't in bookstores or anything like that. And then later, actually, I didn't get a tarot deck until eBay started in 1997.
Uh-huh.
And that was the first thing I'm like, okay, this might be my opportunity to finally get a tarot deck. And I did.
How does that work? Do you like develop a relationship with the images, or what makes the
Oh, I studied with a teacher personally.
oh, okay.
I just wanted to really do it for real. So I studied with this teacher, and and there is a lot of actual study and memorization and learning of the traditional meanings and archetypes that is required, I think. And then once you develop your own understanding and
Right.
apply it to your life and your experiences, then and develop your own language around it, then you kind of can be more, I don't know, then you can use your intuition more and let that develop around what you know. So it
Uh-huh.
kind of uses both sides of the brain.
Huh. Interesting. And is there something that you do that kind of gets you to be more receptive before you do the tarot card reading, or?
Um, yeah, I do an invocation
Uh-huh.
silently where I connect to things that are meaningful to me in the ethers.
Yeah, yeah.
on the astral plane, and
Uh-huh.
try as best I can not to drink coffee because that blocks your psychic ability. And I quit
Oh, and
coffee recently so that I don't have to worry about that anymore.
I had no idea because I go on and off coffee, but I do find that I'm more relaxed when I don't drink coffee, even though I think it's going to help me in the long run.
Oh my
But
God, it helps me so much. I love it so much. And I don't have a personality without it. And I'm so bummed that I'm not drinking it. But
have you tried
anyways,
that grain? Have you tried the grain coffee?
no, why, what's the point? I just can't get into that. I already drink like mushroom
Oh,
powder,
yeah.
I just can't do that other thing. Are you talking like mud water
Well, some
or?
people have talked to me about mud water. I used to drink, what was it? Kid might write. And kid, if you remember what it was some kind of barley coffee. I used to
Oh,
drink.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
No way,
yeah.
man. I just can't. I just can't.
Now, wait a second, you didn't grow up in Washington, D.C.?
I grew up in Washington State.
Oh, state. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking like how conservative, if it was conservative where you were growing up and if that was kind of like a hard thing to.
Well, it's yeah, you could say conservative, but it was also very, I mean, it was I don't know what kind of language to use without being offensive to the
Oh,
ones I love.
okay.
Um,
All
you
right. I
know,
already get it. Yeah. Yeah.
it was a country life. And I didn't enjoy it, but I love it now. I appreciate it as
Yeah.
having been a part of how I was formed, how I came to be.
Right. I know for me, I was kind of like I wanted to be in a big city because I was like into glamour and stuff and wanted, to be fabulous.
Hmm.
And so growing up at the beach, it was just kind of sandy. It wasn't that fabulous.
Oh,
So
but that sounds fun though,
I
growing
know
up
it
at the
was great.
beach.
I mean, but you know how you are when you're a kid, everything's better away, from somewhere else. But in the long run, um, yeah, moving to LA was kind of a way to develop a new identity. And
Yeah.
there were like, bookstores like there's new age kinds of bookstores. I remember getting into that in LA and people who would go to those. Does that so you because you spend a lot of time on the road in a band, right? Or
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
maybe not as much, but now, but um, does that practice kind of help you in terms of the road, like keep a certain amount of balance? Because I know the road can get kind of um, I don't know, crazy, a little not crazy, but a little unstable after a while. You kind of need a routine, right?
Yeah. I mean, I later in the many years that I toured, um, started to tap more into my spiritual side, and it did help. Those practices really helped me to just be, I remember even situations where we'd be playing with some really loud, like not speed metal, but like just like crazy loud, aggressive punk rock band, and I'd just be sitting like on the other side of the wall and try to meditate with that like
Right.
loud vibrational craziness behind me, and be so blissed out, like, wow, this is it.
Yeah, I have to say no, it's really true. Like I sometimes meditating in public places where they're noisy and people's voices are echoing, it kind of even better because I don't really hear my own inner thoughts as much. I start to concentrate on just sound and other things that aren't my own. So that's
Oh
really
yeah, I
helpful.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I think it's so blissful, and uh yeah, it's really helpful. And I think it also helped me to return to a sense of wonder, which,
Uh-huh.
you know, can get lost, especially if you're someone who is a little more attuned to the hidden realms or the elusive realms, and you kind of try to repress it or block it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Then you can get really aggressive. I got really like aggressive and was, I don't know,
Was
just, different.
Was the aggressiveness, was that like because there was some darker kinds of aspects of yourself or that you were getting access to? or what was? I'm sorry, we don't need to go into therapy. I
No,
apologize.
it's great. I love it. Um,
Okay. I'm just so curious.
well, I'm
I think,
especially in terms of the darker aspects because that's definitely a part of it. I think like um, a blend, an equal blend of darkness and light is everything for
yeah,
everyone. And once you can find that balance,
yeah,
it's I think it's what all philosophies point to, what um, all even the mystical corner of every religion actually,
right.
that is the foundation, is the
Yeah.
balance of the light and the dark.
I've had a little
So,
trouble with it because I've been attracted to Santeria. I think it's a really beautiful.
oh
I think
yeah.
it's a very beautiful spiritual practice. But and I did uh, get involved with a priest at one point. I'm not very versed in like the language and stuff, so that was part of it. But the other part of it was it's just animal sacrifice was really hard for me, and that's kind of part of it is the
Sorry, I didn't mean to
uh,
laugh. It just was.
no, but I mean, my friend who is a priest in LA, he just laughed at me too. It's like you can't have it without. That's part of it. And here I was like,
I mean,
can I? Can't I? Uh, connect with the orishas without having to like kill little birds and it's just like I didn't want to do both.
right. Well,
And
that's when you really like take the best and leave the rest. You got to find what works for you,
right, but
because
when it
there's other forms of darkness that maybe you would be into.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like life is already pretty dark. At least,
It certainly is. It certainly
so
is.
for me, it's like, how do I maintain that balance? But when I did kind of run into this, there's a pull and an attractiveness to that kind of thing because it's like when you're little, especially little boys, like little kid, you just can't wait to just like put your thumb on an ant and like squish it. It's like
Right. Yeah.
that kind of, connection to power. And I don't feel good about that. Like there's a part of me
Yeah.
that just is not into it. And yet at the same
Yeah.
time, I understand why for some people there is kind of a power, although they don't see it as personal. And that's the difference. It is the gods and it's not a person. It's not a person who's on some kind of negative trip. So,
Yeah.
but I have a hard time reconciling myself with it. And
Right.
so I that's why I asked that question, just like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think it's good to have that understanding that, people need to seek out their own experience with nature and with the forces of nature. And it makes you, when you really get into the wisdom of that, I think it helps to
uh,
understand why people do everything,
right,
and to be
right. There's
understanding even when people are doing things that you deem, horrible or awful or against everything that
right,
you hold
right.
true.
Yeah, so it's like where like my judgment or my moral judgment of someone else really is more about me than actually them. And
Yeah.
maybe I need to kind of look at that. I mean, I do have to say that there's a lot of darkness in Tibetan Buddhism,
Oh my
and
God, yes.
but I have to say I don't know if there's animal sacrifice. I don't know enough about that, but I don't know if there's animal sacrifice in Tibetan Buddhism. But
Well, they do it
it's
symbolically, which is great,
I feel a little. Let's keep it symbolic. Come on,
Yeah.
you know.
They
But
make the effigies out of, oatmeal and flour and water.
yeah, that's right.
And they still like disembody those effigies and do ceremony around that, which is great. And they hang out in cremation grounds, but everything is more self-inflicted, I guess, when you're getting into that level of the darker parts of Tibetan Buddhism,
Huh?
which I like.
What do you mean by self-inflicted?
Well, the people who do go to the cremation grounds to practice all the Tibetan rites will often, or some of the Tibetan rites will often, not eat for really long periods of time, and just
Right.
try to create states of again, going back to opening the doors of perception
Right.
to create, yeah,
So, yeah,
mental breakdowns in a way.
it is. I mean, it is a little bit like a mental breakdown in that you kind of have to cast away kind of the normalcy that you usually live your life. I mean, I guess I do like
Right.
what I do like about these religions. Like, I don't want to customize a religion or a spiritual practice if it's a traditional one, because I want to respect the traditions and the wisdom that comes
Yeah,
from it. And I
that's
didn't
true.
mean.
Yeah.
I'm now kind of reflecting back and like I don't want to sound like I'm judgy about animal sacrifice. I understand that it has nothing to do with the human will. It really is the belief in these larger entities, and I get that. But
Yeah.
it was a little harder for me than, you know.
Yeah. And you didn't sound judgy. You sounded like you understood it. It just wasn't for you.
Yeah, I mean, when
It
that was
just,
happening, Kid and I had just adopted a little kitten, so I was like, "Do you mean I'm going to have to kill a little kitten so that I can
right. Yeah.
speak to this, spirit?" I was just like, I don't know,
Once you
maybe.
have a pet, it's hard.
But it's. I think I'm kind of curious because you laughed when I said that, but it really was my friend laughed too. He's just like, you're just being like a white guy here. You need to, not a white guy, but I just,
Yeah.
you need to just suck it up. So anyway, I just felt like I wasn't tough and then I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna be a tough guy about this, because
Yeah.
he said, well, it starts off with these little animals, but at some point we'll work towards like goats and bigger creatures. And I'm like, like even like, if it was like a cockroach or something that didn't have like a head that could turn, well, just like something that's more less less warm and
Cockroaches do
cute.
turn their head.
I
Cockroaches
know. Well,
turn their
some of them
head.
do.
Cockroaches have turned their head and looked at me, and of
Oh
all the
God,
things in the world, that really freaks me out.
it is freaky because they just don't look human. Humans like to see things that look human. That's a
Well,
big
that
thing.
was
Although,
what was freaky, is it looked a little human when they turn and look at you.
yeah, maybe that's the other side of it. We don't want like
Yeah.
we don't want it to be too human if it's not human. I mean, that's the whole thing about with robots. They're trying to figure out the best way to make robots look, you know, comfortable, and that we feel comfortable with them. But at the same time, they want people are freaked out when they look too real. Where it just looks like
Yeah, right.
like plastic surgery with no soul under there or something. Like something really
Yeah.
like weird. Like, I'm not saying plastic surgery is weird. Oh, now I'm getting myself in trouble. What
I
I'm
know, right? You
saying
better
is,
watch what you say.
I'm going to get canceled by all the plastic
I
surgeons in
know,
the world.
right?
I know, it's so hard, right?
So
Anyway,
hard.
so in the but in the long run, the sense of that there is now, they're trying to make machines that somehow human beings feel comfortable with. So when I was at my job at at the community college, they have a security robot, and it basically looks like kind of like an egg, like a big white plastic egg with eyes on it, and then
Oh,
like some kind of a
weird.
computer thing in the back. And I think it just kind of roams around and takes photographs for the police. It has a big police insignia on the side. Um, and I mean, it does, people kind of laugh at it because it kind of looks more like R2D2, but they can't make it look
Yeah.
like a cop because that'll freak people out. So it's like they're trying to find a middle ground.
I think a big roaming egg would freak me out more than a cop. That sounds really weird. I haven't really been around robotics very
Oh
much
yeah,
in my
yeah. I
life.
mean, it had blinking lights. It was kind of cheerful. The shape was, it was kind of like an egg, but it was kind of like a cartoon cop with a belt, like a belly and no uniform, just white plastic. That's not helping. I'm not helping the description at all.
No,
So
you
now there's
are.
going to be all
You
these
are.
doodles. there's all these doodles out there of eggs with cop hats now.
Yeah, exactly.
And so how often do you like, so do you keep a dream journal? Is a dreaming and dreams part of your practice too?
Uh, I used to do that. I got really, when I was younger, I got really into lucid dreaming and went
Oh
through
yeah.
all the steps to learn how to do it. And then once it like really worked, I was like, man,
It's
I
weird.
really don't want to fuck with that. I want that to just kind of happen naturally. I mean, I think lucid dreaming is great. I like it, but it also is like, I want to sleep and, you know, let the dreams
Yeah.
come.
No,
But I
I've
don't do
had
a
that.
dream journal. No.
Yeah. I used to do a dream class that was 3 hours long. So we would sit and
Cool.
analyze a dream for 3 hours. And it was, it was a great way to get to know people. You kind of find out,
Yeah.
what's on their mind. I liked it. And it was good because I doodled a lot, in the, in that, but it's not really a class. It was just more of a group. But I did do a lot of really interesting, intricate doodles while I was listening to people, which was fun. Um, yeah.
That's cool. I would do a dream class. I think that sounds good. You know, I was just remembering
What's that?
that we did that uh Tibetan thing together.
Yeah, that we did the Healing Chöd. Is that what it's called? We did it
Yeah,
twice
yeah,
together. We
yeah.
did.
I
We
just
did
remembered. Yeah,
the first time was in a Pilates studio with
the
mirrors all
Pilates studio.
around. It
Yeah,
was very, yeah, that was a little like the Eyes of Laura Mars or something. It was very glamorous Tibetan monk
yeah,
ritual. Yeah. And then the second time was in someone's home on their shag rug or something like that. I remember just
yeah,
sitting on the carpet. And yeah, that one was, both were very different, but really interesting.
yeah. That's the ceremony where they cut up the effigy. That whole ceremony is about, the lamas doing those chants into everybody, like sacrificing everyone
They're
to
sacrificing the
the
participants? Is
Yeah,
that
they're sacrificing the participants. They have an effigy that they cut up. They do, it's like offering your body to, whatever the consciousness, to
right?
consciousness and to the parts of yourself that we would consider inner demons or whatever. Um, in order to kind of, it's like you're feeding your inner demons.
Yeah.
It's a, that's we won't get into that, but anyways, yeah. But
I really liked
speaking
it.
of sacrifice.
I mean, I didn't feel like, I mean, I was still like, my body was still all together. It wasn't like literally, but I do have to say
No.
it was super relaxing afterwards. You just felt like whether it was the sound of the chanting or there was a lot of, yeah, just interesting effects. I don't know exactly
I
what
like
happened, but it was
that lasted four
performance art,
days.
but really good. Huh?
Total performance art. That lasted 4 days, right? 2 days? 4 days?
That
There's
was a
four
2 day
parts.
one.
Two
Yeah,
days.
two
Okay.
days. Yeah. And are you in contact with those monks anymore?
Actually, yeah, I am the one that I became really good friends with. We recently touched base on Instagram. I lost touch with him. He went and meditated in a cave for 3 years, but after that, he came out and is doing the normal life thing again. But that's the only one of those Tibetan monks that I've been in touch with.
Right.
Sadly, I love that crew. They were my homies.
Yeah. I think there's problems with visas during Trump, and maybe that was what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I think they were having troubles even before then. So, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Don't want to blame Trump on that, but
right.
why not? Uh,
Why not?
why not? Hey, we are at our time's end, so thank you
Oh,
so much, Michelle. Yeah.
thank you. It was lovely
Yeah.
to talk with you.
Yeah, you too. And I'm going to turn my camera around. Um,
Okay, should I do that too?
yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that. I love what you did. That's so fun.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's silly.
No, it's really great. Um, those are like Tibetan colors for me.
Are they? Oh, you
Where
like
they
yellow
like
red there.
super
Hold on.
vibratory, almost like
Just
almost psychedelic. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. So,
Yeah, thanks Ryan. Thanks for
yeah, that
everyone
was
who
fun.
joined.
Yeah. Thanks for doodling with me.
Yeah.
Um, I got to do a little, uh, I have to do a little pitch, which is Doodle with Me is every Friday night for 30 minutes of idle chat and drawing. I have a special guest, and each time is super different, as you may have experienced with Michelle and I. The conversations go all over, as well as we hope your doodles go all over. So thank you for joining us and spending some Friday night with us. So that's great. And what else do I have to tell you about? If any of you are interested in taking your doodles further, if you want to do a Zoom class after this live stream, you can, I'm going to put a link in here and you can join us and register. I think it'll do it. No, it won't. How will we do this? How about this? Folks can direct message me and I'll send you a link before 7 o'clock tonight to get you into that class. Otherwise, thanks, Michelle. What are you
You're
going to
welcome.
do tomorrow?
Thanks.
What are you
Tomorrow?
doing today? Yeah,
Tomorrow I'm going to the Apple store. That's about it. That's my plan.
that sounds good. I know. Just
Yeah.
one thing a day. That's all you can really
Yeah.
want. Just
Yeah.
one thing. Yeah. All right. Cool. So I'll see you soon. And thanks.
I'll see you soon.
Love talking.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye, everybody. Have a great week.